everybody. I'm here, fully energized, with my two very attractive co-hosts, Nick and Drew. How are you guys doing?
I
don't have cancer.
That is good, Drew. Congratulations on not having cancer.
You.
I was going to ask you about the crater in your forehead.
I was going to ask about the Band-Aid just being put there for an aesthetic purpose.
They saw some questionable spots, so they scooped them off, and now there's a giant notch in my forehead. God is funny. And they analyzed the skin and detected no cancerous cells, so we're good.
Good. Congratulations, Drew. You're living yet another day cancer-free.
But now,
right.
Now they took out the Neuralink.
I know. I don't have Neuralink anymore, so
that's probably a good thing.
I'm going to be a lot less creative, most likely.
Oh, is that what Neuralink does? That's how Elon does it? Maybe Elon already has Neuralink.
Yeah. You can see him reading when he talks.
He stutters all the time. It's still beta, so
if you watch him talk, he reads from left to right.
Yeah.
He's always doing this.
That's exactly how that works. Hashtag conspiracy confirmed.
The texts show up in front of you. I know this is... It sounds like it's EV related, but it's not. Tesla purchased $1.5 billion Bitcoin.
Yeah, $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the
Bitcoins.
Cars. We're talking about crypto, because that seems to be a sub. And also, Marquez, I'm going to sue you because you gave me that financial advice on Dogecoin, and now Dogecoin has gone down, and that's your fault, Marquez. No, I'm kidding. But you can tell with all of the disclaimers he gave.
And we should also probably give a disclaimer here. This is not financial advice. Please speak with your authorized financial representative.
Also, everything I've ever said is a joke.
Here's my disclaimer. If y'all are going to take our advice, well, one, you're smart to do so because, I mean, look at us. We are.
Number one,
Randy is the watermark of success, ladies and gentlemen.
Clearly.
If you want to look just like me, miserable, tired, and
if you want to be the peak human being, you should behave like I do.
Oh. I was going to say,
if you want to be tall,
like me,
you should be like Nick.
You should have invested in Tesla back in 2018 when
If you want to transcend the beautiful human being and the best human being, you can become like me and have the most minimal human being.
I hope you don't get burnt out talking about that, because I know you guys had your own tech podcast last week, but
we'll
we're
get
probably
going
to dive into some details.
We need to get into Dogecoin.
Let's talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I want to talk about Bitcoin for a second.
So, if I ever, I should say this on the record, if there's anyone who has a time machine, sign me up, because I literally have had a note typed since 2018 that is to my past self, giving myself the investment strategy of Bitcoin. So, I regret not having Bitcoin. Congratulations, Internet.
Oh, wow.
Don't live in that world, Nick. Don't live in that world.
I just feel bad for those people who sold it at $17,000 or whatever.
So, here is some advice that nobody can hold us liable for. Just like what we say about Tesla, and just like I say about any really investment, like real estate, literally any type of investment.
Apple stock.
Apple stock.
On subject. Boom.
Get Apple. Woo! Android stocks. Woo! Okay. Right now, it's still so early. The adoption is so early. This is Bitcoin and Tesla shares, to me, are one and the same.
Okay.
I mean, no, but go on.
Yeah, no. The fact that they had to move 1.5 bill in there, that's not the one I'm saying. I'm saying that the early adoption, we are still in early adoption phase. As more companies pledge, like, Fortune 500 companies pledge to add their part of their money reserve and portfolio and all that in there, it's still going to cause it will continue to grow. It will plateau. And hold on, let me do what Marquez does. And for entertainment purposes only, it is still very volatile, so don't listen to anything I have to say. Okay, but
I just thought it'd be funny if after all the disclaimers, someone was still like, "How dare you? You told me to buy it."
Yeah, he told me. He said
YouTube
right there.
commenters.
Your honor.
low IQ they can be sometimes.
Not you,
So
the person listening to this show. Not you, but everyone
not
else.
you.
Extremely low IQ.
everyone who listens to the Talos of Tech podcast is a major Chad. So
Yeah.
we're not worried about you guys. We're talking about, fill in the blank.
I came out on record. I put a video out explaining why crypto's the future and the technology. The
Wait,
technology
you did?
part I haven't articulated it yet.
When was this?
When did I put out a video?
Yeah.
I don't think I put it on YouTube. I think I put it on Instagram.
We put it out.
Or Instagram. Instagram.
I put it out to
Instagram
my
reel.
computer.
Wait.
I uploaded it to my hard drive.
I put it as a
IGTV?
Instagram video. IGTV thing. I
next
think I
big
put
thing.
it, and I think I put it as I put it everywhere but Twitter. And I definitely didn't put it on YouTube. I didn't put it on YouTube because unless I did put it on YouTube, doesn't matter. I did put it on YouTube.
What is this? Are you
Do you
talking
need
about
us
the
for
Robin
this?
Hood thing?
Listen, hold on. Just pause. Just
How to
reset.
get rich with Talos of Tech.
Wait, this is Taylosive. I was trying to put another T in there.
Talos.
Tash. Taylosive. Anyway,
I'll disagree with you.
Yeah.
hang on. I just want to reset real quick.
Welcome back to the Talos of Tech podcast.
Cryptocurrency
That was
as a blockchain, as a investment, as a technology, is going to be just as important or more important than all this hoopla we had last year with Tesla and all these other stocks and stuff like that. Not as a result of the Wall Street situation, but as an example of the Wall Street situation that decentralizing money as a whole is now more prevalent. And the technologies that empower this to happen now with Bitcoin or Ethereum, Doge is and all these other ones is really innovative. That the only way we can get controlled out of that is if we had that government regulation on internet itself now, as that we were fearing, because otherwise they can't stop the Bitcoin hype and alike from happening as a whole. So, and all these big companies like Apple and Tesla and everyone else is going to pledge some type of number amount of what they would put.
If Apple did it, that'd be interesting. They haven't yet, but
yet
They'll
And I
invest in
feel
Apple
like-
coin.
No,
I
because
want Tim Coin.
Tim coin.
I want Cook Coin.
Slofi Coin. Slofi. I want a crypto
If you
based on
got
Slofi.
Dogecoin, what's the equivalent for Johnny Ives coin? I want
Ivecoin.
No. Love
It's very
farm
easy
coin.
to meme, and you can theoretically have as many altcoins as you want.
Yeah.
But I think the volatility will prevent it from being a standard.
So no, I would disagree with you there, Drew. The volatility that we're seeing in the crypto markets right now is fundamentally connected to the trust that people have in the economic system that we're currently using. Because right now, cryptocurrencies is seen as an alternative way to store wealth and value outside of the economic system, whether that's stocks or real estate or physical assets. It's seen as a way to store value outside of that and potentially even grow value. I know a lot of people in my friend circles have specifically looked into cryptocurrencies just because they see it as a quick way to make a buck. That's not really what we're talking about here. I'm talking specifically about holding wealth. And so if you don't have much faith in the current economic system, whether that's the U.S. dollar, the Treasury, the Fed, the Federal Reserve, the IMF, all of the global currencies, the government supporting those currencies. I mean, look at the back of a dollar bill. I mean, what does it say? It doesn't say like
I don't have
back
one.
in the. I do have a couple. So on the $20 bill, it says. Federal Reserve note.
A what?
This a Federal Reserve note is what it is, and this note
Is that paper?
this note is backed not by physical gold or silver in a federal treasury somewhere. This is backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, which to lots of people is valuable. Like this $20 bill is not something that I'd want to burn, right? Like this has some intrinsic value because I can trade this $20 bill with a bunch of other $20 bills to get an iPhone, which I find valuable.
Or Big Macs.
Or a Big Mac.
I'm following
exactly.
you.
Okay, glad people are following me. So as long as people are seeing that this piece of paper is fundamentally worth something, then it's going to have value. The problem is, as governments do things that the general person isn't a fan of, such as kind of stepping in and regulating that whole Wall Street bets situation, that is moving people to looking at this as being a potential way of losing value. It could go down. And you don't want to, if you have an opportunity to preserve your wealth in something that's not going to decrease in value, you do that 9 times out of 10. So that's why a lot of people are looking at cryptocurrencies and seeing it as an alternative to the system. And that is why I believe that's why Tesla has kind of put their weight in behind it, put $1.5 billion into cryptocurrency to kind of help legitimize it. Because right now, the reason why cryptos are so fluctuating is it's really day by day the average faith that the average person has in the current economic system. So if there's a lot of faith in the current economic system, if people think stock markets are going to go up, governments are going to not be regulating, businesses are going to grow, then you're going to see cryptocurrencies have an inverse relationship to that. They're going to go down in value because people perceive the dollar as being more valuable than the cryptocurrency. But the inverse of that is true when the economic system begins faltering. People scurry to alternatives, and those alternatives right now are cryptocurrencies. End of monologue.
I agree with most of what you're saying, but my main point still comes back to if it's not backed by a government or a large agency that a lot of people follow the law of, the volatility will continue.
Yeah.
And if you knew that your groceries were going to cost you that $20 bill one day, and then the next day, because of that volatility, it's now $40 to get those same groceries, but you were paid $20 from your last paycheck or whatnot. People, I think, are treating crypto a lot more like a stock than they are an alternative currency.
I made that preface at the beginning.
That is happening right now because it's so early on, but in a situation,
it's still very untested. It's still very new in the grand scheme of finance.
Yeah,
Bitcoin is finite, and once majority, if not most of it, is bought up, it's no longer volatile. It will be what it is, and that's where its intrinsic value will come from on the digital space. Whereas any of the altcoins will have their own reason why. Here's why we're different or better, blah blah blah, from Bitcoin. But that is the case where it's being treated as like a stock and less as a currency. The thing about the volatility now is, and why it's not too late if you wanted to invest in it, is because it's volatile for the reason it's so unsure. So that's why once it becomes more normalized, as it is, it's something, it's a word we all know now. When it becomes more adopted worldwide, it will slowly stabilize. The same way Tesla stock will stabilize after. I mean, it's still growing too, but it's always projected like when something gets accepted into an index, it becomes less volatile at that point because now it's being tracked. It's bought out by an index fund, and it's only a matter of time before one of these. I can definitely see a Bitcoin or any type of blockchain happening where there is an index fund for it, and that not only validates it but solidifies its placement to a certain threshold. It'll still move like that, but not by big valleys and mountains of the same way. Tesla's being smart though, business-wise, about putting their money specifically into Bitcoin, because if it does well, then they're rich. If it does bad, they can claim it as a loss anyway, and it's something on tax purposes they can claim it's like this is lost money. But if it does good,
they'd have to
pay
recognize
taxes on it
that.
until
But
they pull the money out. Well, right now it's that's their kind of stacking it in their own way. They're gonna win regardless, because if they don't have to pay taxes on it like a stock until they pull it out. So if it blows up, that's money that they don't have to worry about right now. If it does bad, then it's a loss, and they don't have to pay taxes on it. So that was a business move that they do, and I think Apple will do the same thing at some point, and all of them will, because it's and $1 billion to these companies it's not a big amount of their overall market cap like that too.
No.
And Tesla has about $4
I think it was a good idea.
Cash. I think it's a wonderful idea. Diversification is always preferable.
Yeah.
And it also causes a domino effect because they're
throwing their weight.
Bought it, which once the news breaks that they did, everyone now has this hype of like, oh, if major companies in the S&P are now investing, then I'm going to invest too, because that means it's probably going to keep going up, and that in return raises the price further. So Tesla, by buying the Bitcoin itself, kind of directly influences the price. So it's kind of a genius move, but that doesn't change my mind on the standard thing, though.
I think this idea of a universal currency has been and will always be around, because it's one less barrier. And I personally would like to see Bitcoin or cryptocurrency as such become a currency and not a stock. Personally, if it was just one more in my eyes, it's no different. Do you want to pay with Apple Card or PayPal, like as a checkout option? It's all the same. Do I have a piece of that pie with me? Is at the end of the day, is that what however I convert it is however I convert it. But I have my options to check out with all these different options. It's still coming from me. It's my transaction that's happening. I would like to see that happen. And if it's easier in the grander scheme of, hey, I need to send money to whoever out in Japan, then it's the same. There's no conversion rate.
Sure. But
the technology inside blockchains is also something I think that has value. I think it's not worth what they're selling for. None of them are, but there is a value of a blockchain of having an undoctored ledger that tracks everything, and therefore no forgeries can happen. I think there is some benefit in that. To say that it's worth $40,000 or $50,000, I mean, that's not for. Obviously, it's not for me to decide. I just think that that technology is. I don't think it's worth that, but that's where they're like, we're not using it for that. It's money now. Okay, so
I think the volatility of it and the increasing price of it would prevent people from using it as something to buy or pay for services, though. In the same way,
very true.
You would not want to buy an iPhone with your Apple stock, right, Randy? Yeah. You would rather hold on to that stock because you see it going up. I think people would feel the same way with Bitcoin. There might be more services and businesses that are like, we accept Bitcoin, but how many people are actually going to be like, sure, I believe this will go up and it'll probably be worth 10 times this in 10 years, but sure, I'll pay for it now. No, they're going to continue to just sell off what they need in an actual government-based currency that's backed, because that's less volatile, and they know that the value of that $20 bill or that $1,000 is not going to drastically increase over time, whereas with crypto it does. And I don't know. I know that Bitcoin is finite, but I know that the sales of it, people buying it, cashing out, is still going to influence that highly, highly volatile, because you really only hear about it when it's skyrocketing. Exactly. That's the interesting thing about Bitcoin, is that everyone was talking about it a lot in end of 2017. And it's still around. You occasionally hear about it whenever there's a Twitter scam. And then for a while, it just kind of dies down. As the price goes down, people are less interested in it and doesn't catch too many eyes. But then obviously it becomes a topic of discussion once it skyrockets again. And I could see a fairly similar thing happening where it kind of tapers off and goes down a bit, and now we stop talking about it, and you really only hear about it when people are getting scammed. Send this much crypto to me, and I'll send twice back to you. If you fell for that,
you're an idiot.
Oh my God! I don't care if it's Mr. Beast who's tweeting it. Don't buy that. Don't ever believe the quick. You'll double your money real quick. But yeah, I feel like unless there's some, and with the U.S. government, they can barely understand it in the first place. I have a hard time believing that we're that close to governments officially like getting off of an official dollar standard and moving towards a crypto. This is kind of a side tangent, but I feel like it also plays into a factor of the adoption of crypto. It is a finite with Bitcoin. It is a finite number, and that means that basically all of our transactions, which most of the time are below $100 or so, have so many dang zeros behind the decimal point. .0000000, and I feel like it's not like a fundamental flaw, but to get people, everyday people, not just tech enthusiasts and not just people who know about crypto, onto it, having your digital wallet and your crypto key and on all these decimals and all these zeros and getting that into the mainstream. How much does this apple cost? That's .0000000. It will throw off unless they find a way of doing, I don't know how possible it is, some kind of like the equivalent of a stock split with crypto where they decide each Bitcoin.
Well,
if you have one.
Bitcoin Cash broke off from Bitcoin because of a situation like that, and that can and does and will happen again. And I agree. The numbering thing is not misleading. It's just it's off, but
it makes it hard to explain to grandma.
Exactly.
See
this infinitesimal
decimal. And grandma's got to pay her bills.
This is actually worth more than your house.
Yeah,
I think.
And currency is everybody. Not just
currency is everybody.
Us, yeah.
With Bitcoin or crypto as a whole, this exists because of the continuing degradation of the U.S. dollar, for example.
Not just the U.S. dollar. All of the other currencies in the world are having a similar.
Yeah. People are doing this because they're betting on their currency to fail. Because
as they should.
Our money is failing. It is not.
It does go down
in value. It's
in
not
value.
an appreciating asset. If you have a dollar, here's your investment thing. Holding onto your dollar will lose
100%
at the end.
Holding this money, this money is getting less and less valuable every day.
Yeah. More liquidity you have, the more
lose.
money you are leaving on the table of growth, which is why people put it in property or put it into stocks or put it into
physical metals. I mean, people have been doing physical stuff for a long time. And
and metals,
definitely.
People are betting on this dollar, this piece of paper, to fail or at least devalue, because it is, and it has, and it continues to. And I think only for maybe if all else, I think if that logic is to be accepted, that's why crypto will stick around as its new medium as long as we have electricity and a connection, because it's one more diversification. But like what Nick just said, and I wholeheartedly, diversification is important, and putting it into metals is also just as good. Putting it into land, owning your property, is just as good. Anything else?
Real things are fundamentally always going to be more valuable than perceived value. So if I'm holding, say, a piece of silver, this has an inherent value, right? Like it might be valuable as a pretty coin right now, but silver has tons of applications in commercial stuff, in tech. It's half of our smartphones are made out of rare metals like that. So holding things that have physical value, whether that's land or a car, even not a car is pretty depreciating, but it has maybe not a brand new
iPhone,
not a brand new car, but
the metal
exactly.
In the
well,
car.
like if you buy a cheaper, anyway. You can be smart with your
Silverado.
car purchases. All that to say, especially if it's earning you money back.
We have a lot of data to go off of with certain stocks and especially property to equivalate that most of the time it will go up in value over decades. Yeah. Whereas I guess that's why I'm more skeptical with crypto, is like we really don't know. We have very little data to work off of how this is going to behave in the long term. We have short-term data.
Make as an early adopter.
Exactly.
That's any investment with a start. How's this any different than a startup? Like, nothing company buying Essential means something's going to happen, and now you can put your money in nothing.
Individual stocks. If you're looking at like more index fund style, you can look at the past few decades they've been around, and you can figure out, okay, they have a decent record with this and that. But Yeah.
You trying to be a venture capitalist, a VC is what
In the
we call
industry.
them. You in the industry, you being a VC that's the risk that you take. Is you wanting to invest into these companies, these startups that are buying out other companies and this and that. Tech Altair actually put out a video which I actually yesterday and I really liked.
He's good. I love him.
He's amazing. I'm a big fan of his, and he has this thing called like the Friday Checkout on a different thing channel, and he was talking about how startups really have one of very few paths that will inevitably happen, and only out of all those paths, only one is that it succeeds. Otherwise, it gets bought out, it gets sold, it gets acquired, it gets merged, or it just dies. And in many of those other paths, if you were an early investor before it becomes a community investor, or as a community investor, you won't get your money out of it, and that's the risk that you make. But because if they do get bought out, they're going to pay the founders and all the early investors before anything else, before community base, and that is exactly what the risk return fact. These enthusiasts in buying into social trends. What you're saying, Drew, and there's a level of agreement that I have in the fact that Bitcoin's relevant today because because of what happened with Robinhood and everything else like that. That brought it back into the spotlight. So it's relevant today, and maybe in a couple months it might be a little quiet, and so therefore it won't start growing again. In that sense, okay, yeah, I agree to that. I think it's so early, and because we don't have data, and it's okay. Another investment strategy. Here's my Marquez thing again. Another investment thing is that it's okay to be very conservative with your money. It's your money, like be smart with your money. Don't put all your money into anything. That's very dumb. But with no early data to this, what are you willing to put into it and say, all right, it's a loss. I'm willing to lose all that because that was my risk.
And for Tesla, that's $1 billion.
Yeah, true.
And for Tesla, but what's $1 billion to Tesla though now? You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Like it seems like it makes for great headlines, right? Like $1 billion into Bitcoin, but in reality, like you said, they can write that off as a loss if they do lose it. And with their kind of capital raises they do and the kind of money they have on hand, to Tesla, $1 billion is that like we can afford to lose this basically, which is why it's probably misconstrued as like we're converting our whole library. That's not what it is.
Transparent just right now and say that I have I have just less than $2,000 in crypto because I'm so unsure of it, and that's my risk. Yeah, that I would lose. Me too. I have $3. That's technically less than $2,000. But I'm
probably
so
something like that.
Yeah, I'm so unsure of it that my equivalent of Tesla's 1.5 billion to me is a couple grand. I'm like, all right, if I lose it, I lose it, and that's just the cost of doing business of me trying to put. This is the house's money, so to say. I would take if I was to take profits from something else and allocate it to that. Then this is me just play money. I took T-Mobile's money that I had as play money. I was like, all right, I'm gonna put it in here, and then that's just it. That's about the extent of what I'm comfortable putting into crypto, even though I believe in it, and I think it's going to 10 years, 20 years from now really have a bigger impact. It's just not my investment strategy, and that's fine too. That's where I'm being conservative, and it's not 1.5 bill, but
you're also not Elon. So sorry, Randy.
It's something.
Sorry to pop that bubble.
I'm also not Elon.
You're equivalent.
Yeah.
It's my equivalent. Yeah.
No, very very valid points. Yeah. I think. I think eventually there's going to be one.
Do you have a lot of crypto, Nick?
Funny you should bring that up, Drew. I thought I did. Back to your decimals and the infinitesimal number of zeros that precede and follow the Bitcoin that you have. A long time ago, back in 2017 or whenever the Bitcoin was first blowing up, you had found this program called was it MinerGate or something?
MinerGate. Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull that up. Yeah, so MinerGate. And you could basically just install this program on your computers, and it would max out the CPU hashing out Bitcoins. And so, yeah, GPU too.
GPU too.
So anyway, I did that on my computers for probably like 2 months, and I was mining Ethereum. Anyway, so I was like, oh, wait a minute, the Bitcoin is blowing up. So I like looked up Ethereum. Oh, shoot. Ethereum.
The currency.
Ethereum. Thank you, Randy. Ethereum. We need to make another T-shirt spelling out how to say that.
Minimalism.
Ethereum.
Minimalism.
I want that to be a coin.
So I was like, oh, I think I have like 2 or 3 Ethereum coins that I had mined over those couple months. And at the time, it was only, I think, a couple $100 at the time. But when I looked a couple days ago, it was like at $2,000 a coin. And so I was like, oh, shoot, I have like a couple of these somewhere. So I was like, for like a solid afternoon, I was trying to figure out how to find them. Like I was like, okay, what was this program called? I couldn't remember MinerGate, and thankfully Drew remembered. And then once I got it, I had to like figure out what email and password combination I had given it. And anyway, I finally got in, and I was all excited, hoping to see a couple $1,000 sitting there. But no, I have 19 cents of Ethereum.
Woo! All right.
Which is
well, you're gonna hold on to
waves.
it, or do you want to cash
thinking
out?
of cashing out,
while you're
but
ahead?
unfortunately you can't, because you have to have like, I don't know, there's some threshold that you have to cash
certain
out.
price.
So I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna hold them.
And I don't
19,
think
Randy,
counts.
19 cents. Excuse me.
Yeah, once you get the taxes on that. What?
Yo, you have to hire somebody to do your taxes for this, because that
How much did he make?
Yeah.
19 cents. That reminds me. That's SpongeBob's like, all right, give me the final score, Mrs. Puff. 6.
Final score.
Woo!
6.
And how much do I need to pass? 6.
100.
What? You need 600 to pass. You got 6.
That was good.
Oh,
I remember that one.
Classic.
Yeah, it's always funny in hindsight, because people can go back and say like, well, look what actually happened to it. And there's only so many ways I can say this. It's very easy to get rich if you know what the value of something is going to be in the future. That would make everything 1,000,000% easier. You can look at a chart and say, see, I bought here, then it would be here. Like, people think they're geniuses.
You want to be here, so you can be here.
But that's the thing, guys. We don't know what's going to happen.
Are you getting it?
Are you getting it? It could. The value of most crypto is very speculative based. It's very much not. Well, like Nick said, it's very much not something we could use in the apocalypse. Unlike seeds or gold or something else. I don't know, but land is a different one. So
if you lose, if somebody took out AWS, just knock these servers out, you are front doored. Like, you are door slammed right. Listen, this is where you have bigger problems on your hands if we lost internet connection. But then I was actually thinking, wow, I keep referencing the Joe Rogan podcast today. They're talking about how they did things in stone, and that's how they transcribed and kept records and stuff like that, and everything is now more digital based. And I've always had in the back of my mind a little bit like, my whole life is on the computer. If I lost, especially switching out my MacBook for the other MacBook to the iMac, all that's gone, by the way. I dropped everything off at FedEx. iMac has been shipped. I'm waiting for all that. But in this whole process, I'm like, if I lost any of this, like, that is my life's work gone. And I have nothing of physical value with the exception of maybe some coins somewhere. And I guess the car I could sell for something, and that's all I could get for cash. Or I guess the condo as well. But like that that's it. Everything that I have that has any type of monetary value, I could lose like that. Gone. And that's so scary. So at this point where it's like, well, if I lose the internet, I'm screwed anyway, so I might as well double down, which is bad advice. Don't do that. That's bad advice.
I think I'm kind of in that realm, too. If there was a nuclear apocalypse, I would probably just want to get taken out in the blast. If there was some way to survive and start, hunting for food and we go back to the Stone Age, and I don't really want to live that life. That life doesn't seem very fun living at that point. If you spent your whole life building this up of like, I'm going to produce content and I want to make art, and then in the future it's just like, oh, well, pretty much everyone's dead and we want to, try to find
Will
food.
the next iPhone have a notch?
By eating.
if that's what you kind of built your whole life around, like you want to just live so you can walk around and try to find food for the rest of your life. Nah, I'll die in that one. I'll be taken out. I'll command Q on that one.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
Don't you preach
right,
the
guys.
dark ways to me. I
tried.
was around when it was written.
Humanity failed.
Control Option power button is just the SMC power.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably be wandering around for a while until some tyrant comes up and enslaves you, and then you'll be enslaved for a few decades, and then you die. It's like, I'm not gonna try to live that. I'm just tap out.
Baby, I'm gonna Mel Gibson. We will die free, and then Here's
I don't
the
wanna
problem
live in
with that
world.
scenario, Drew. If we lost all modern life, like just connections, ties to the world.
So basically, if you moved to Texas right now,
Texas or wherever the hell Nick's at in the world, who knows? But
Alaska.
He's barely getting by. He's in Texas, guys. If we lost everything about the modern world, I would be mad.
Yeah, I would be too. I'd be very upset.
I would be mad.
I would tweet about it.
I'm canceling this movement because I am not here to have it. But also, to be fair, I would survive in the aftermath of this post because
Randy would do well. Randy knows how to move trees from roads.
I'm gonna grab you. Don't you start. I've seen those doomsday preppers do their thing, like when it was like a trendy doom, and they had like on Netflix and stuff like that. And I remember watching a couple of these episodes.
And they're sitting here in Texas with their water and their heat and their electric generators, and they're just like
with my controller, and I'm just clipping through, and I just go. This is back when I actually had TV, and I'm just like, that looks just like a Marine Corps like field expedition training. Oh, that sucks. Yep. And you know what? This image that Drew paints
sucks.
First thing I go is like, this reminds me of the days in the field. Yeah, that sucks.
If you knew there was nothing beyond that, like days in the field,
I would try to go to Mars too.
Well, it's the same thing over there. You're just kind of trying to survive in the desert with scuba gear on.
Yo, when he said, he's like, no, oh no, it's high probability death. It's not safe. No, going over there to Mars, like it's not good. And like, oh boy, I'm sold. I still want to go a little bit.
Sounds
fun. No, I'm totally sold. Have you seen the world falling apart? Yeah, I think I'm off to Mars too.
Your Nick pics would get a lot more boring if you were on Mars, Nick. You'd have a lot less things to take pictures of. Be like,
you would have a
lot
rock. Of Nicks to take.
No, I don't think
so. A rock.
Oh my god.
Oh
wow, a rover.
Hey, look,
wow, look.
Red.
Dust.
Perseverance.
There's
Still
more
here.
dust.
Look, red.
Earth is a very colorful planet.
Hey, look, rust.
Yeah.
I would have the most unified Instagram channel though. It would all
just
be
take
red,
12 minutes
Marsy
to watch
color,
any of
or not
it.
earthy, but like red earthen colors.
Marsy colors.
This is true. No live chats. So we'd have to send letters to each
true.
other. Type it all out. We'd have to do this podcast. Can you imagine? We'd have to do this podcast by typing. You and Randy would type out your
We'd
thoughts. I'd
script
type
the
out my
entire
thoughts.
thing.
And then we'd exchange, and then we'd type out more thoughts.
Yeah, that
Yep,
could work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That could work, honestly.
I could see that
would work.
happening.
Welcome back to the Tailosive Tech Podcast. My name
like
is
our
Nick. I am your
fourth
co-host.
welcome.
Today we will be talking about
12
what, Randy?
minutes later, we're
Yes,
going
that
to
is the
talk
fourth
about
welcome.
why there's a latency happening in this episode.
Did you try to do a live stream from Mars and you just have to wait like 40 minutes before each message is read? Like,
Wow.
let me know if you can hear me.
Oh, that
40
would be
minutes
kinda
goodbye.
painful.
Thumbs up. Okay, good. You can hear me.
Wait, and
Okay, great.
so much time passed. Why is he giving me the thumbs up?
Yeah.
Hey, you young people.
Speaking of currency, Nick, what did you pay for the best computer of all time?
Oh, my God.
No.
I bought a pair of AirPods, original generation. No. Okay.
Let's act like I haven't seen this yet.
All right. This is the best computer
With Intel.
ever
Where are the
Created.
bezels on the
ever
keyboard?
created. No, even though it does have Intel, this is still the best computer ever created. It could be better, but
Some
it is
people
still
are very
the best
confused.
computer ever created. This
But
is
not
true because this is an
Quinn.
audio
And
podcast
if
as well.
Quinn
I'm
is
holding
going to
the
respond to
12-inch
something,
MacBook.
it has to be good.
I will just say that MacBook was very much hated on, too. Some people hate it.
It was the most It is still the most controversial MacBook. I've gotten tons of hate mail
You have?
in my Twitter box.
Have you gotten death threats?
Yes, people just like, oh my gosh, I hated that computer. Yeah, pretty much.
It's sad
I'm
that
like ready to
on
move
the
to
internet,
Mars
death
because
threats are
everyone here
really
wants to
not
kill me.
that impressive anymore. If you say you've gotten death threats from something, it's like, I
Yeah.
mean, it's the internet, dude. There's gonna be
Oh,
some.
is it Saturday?
Have you posted one? Have you posted one
You can
cat
get
video
death
on
threats
YouTube?
for
Yes,
doing
you get death
anything.
threats.
Really, it's not like just be like he got death threats for that. It's like everybody
Mm-hmm.
gets death threats on the internet. That's just a thing.
Welcome
Yeah.
to
Everyone's
post-COVID.
threatened with death every day.
Or every time you get in a car. That too.
Yeah, that too. Anyway, this computer has a lot of sentimental value to me. It is the first Mac that I ever really wanted and saved my pennies for, and I got. I had a MacBook Pro and a MacBook Air before this. But little history on this 2015 MacBook. This is the first MacBook that ever had a USB-C port. Wasn't Thunderbolt, wasn't any of the special things. It was the first USB-C MacBook and one of the first mainstream devices. I believe the Pixel Slate, Pixel, one of the Pixel tablets had also a USB-C port. But this was the first Apple product ever to have a USB-C port, and I was in on USB-C from the very beginning. Back when it was just rumors and leaks about a reversible high-speed connector. I was like, I'm sold.
Me too.
I want this computer. I don't care what else. I will make any compromise.
I don't
to
remember
get
watching the video I
port.
did, but I
That's
know
all
I was doing
wanted.
tech videos at the time. I imagine, though, I was very excited for USB-C because one port for everything was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it came out, obviously. It is the smallest device ever that runs full Mac OS. It is smaller than my 12.9-inch iPad Pro. The height dimension, the
It's
dimension
so little.
is the same this way, but it is
Is
about
it
2
also
inches
16
shorter.
by
It's so
10?
small, and it's so light.
I think so.
This
Yeah.
is I believe so. Don't hold me to that. It's some
It's
weird
10.
aspect ratio. It's not 16 by 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the device here is less than 2 pounds, 1.98 pounds, which is significantly lighter than my iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard. Just about a half a pound heavier than just the plain iPad Pro. So it's extremely, extremely portable and compact. Its main the haters latched onto two things. One port. I guess they probably latched onto three things. One port, the very slow processor, and the keyboard. I happen to appreciate all of those three aspects of this computer.
freak.
I appreciated the fact that it only had one port.
I get
know,
what
I
you
was
mean.
I'm such a freak. I'm the kind of person who I bought this adapter when I got the computer. It's the Apple USB-C
Digital
to,
AV multi-port.
USB 3.0. Yeah, thank you, Drew. Anyway, I bought this adapter, and I wanted to prove to the world that with this adapter and this computer, I could do everything that normal people could do.
You're like skating.
So anyone who is like, oh, but you need to
You're
get
chopping down trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dropping down.
Yes. I get what you mean.
What the computer, dang it. Yeah, and so it was kind of a challenge because I knew it was controversial. I knew that everyone was like, oh, but you have to carry around a bunch of adapters. I'm like, no, I got one adapter. It has everything that I need.
SD
This is
card
still more
reader.
compact with the small. Yeah. So anyway, I never found the port a problem. In fact, I appreciated the fact it only had one port. Now living in a world where I'm used to a 4-port MacBook Pro or a 2-port Mac Mini, it is a little constricting having one, but it totally works. Like I haven't not been able to do something yet. You just have to be a little creative sometimes by plugging something in and charging and then plugging in the hard drive or whatever, or choosing more wireless options. So there's that. People hated the port. I loved the port. People also really hated the power of the computer. It was running an Intel M5 chip, which is technically a mobile processor made by Intel, which is technically one of the slowest processors ever put into a Mac. And guess what? It runs Final Cut just fine. It's not stellar. It's
What
not
OS are you
it's
running?
not stellar, but it runs Final Cut. So I was running out of the box. It came with El Capitan,
Nice.
the OG one from way back in the day, and I still have that on a different partition. But I quickly found that Safari is completely useless because literally no modern websites support whatever version of Safari El Capitan has. So I do have it on Big Sur on a different partition, and both Big Sur Final Cut and El Capitan Final Cut work very well. I was able to edit a 30-minute video without too much the rendering time was long. I will give you that. Rendering the video took a long time. Took about probably twice as long as the 30-minute video. But I thankfully have a Mac Mini where I'm being productive, and I just set this up, and it was just sitting on my desk rendering. It did get a little warm. I thought it was going to melt. It didn't melt. I thought it would be really hot. It wasn't. It wasn't melting. No, I thought it was going to be at the melting temperature, but it's not melting at all. It's pretty good.
Same experience
warm,
I had when I
bad.
reviewed it. It was like real-time playback and Final Cut was okay, but when you needed to export something, it was like, wow, you got to take your time.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So once the whole video rendered, I was able to scrub through it. No dropped frames. It was 1080 at 30 playback, so not the highest quality, but fairly good quality.
It's a standard.
Especially since this is a 2015 computer. It was the standard back then, and I guess it still technically is, but 4K is becoming more and more of the standard. Export and rendering times were not impressive, but it's doable. Like if I was going to go somewhere and, if I was going to go visit Randy again, which why would I ever do that? I never visit Randy. I would not drag my Mac Mini along with me again because that was a lot of space. I needed the whole Mac Mini, the keyboard, the mouse, the charger, all that fun stuff. This is just thin, portable, light, and it does the job. So I didn't have a specific problem. And back in the day when I was really using this computer heavily, 2015, 2016, 2017, I was a full-time student. So the heaviest thing I'd ever throw at it would be like a heavy website.
You should mine crypto
it was never
on it.
really, I never had any performance issues. I did, actually. Part of those little pennies of crypto were mined on a computer very similar to this one. Very nice. Yeah, and so that was the second issue. The third issue that people still bring up is the keyboard. And I am very sorry to say, y'all are very wrong. 100% wrong.
If your keyboard
this
failed,
keyboard.
you're wrong.
Y'all are very wrong. If your keyboard
it
failed,
wrong.
it's your fault. Stop eating sandwiches above your computer. Exactly. Stop using the letters that are broken. I mean, you just need to adjust your use
I never
of language
hated the
to avoid
Magic
those
keyboard
letters.
design in the first place. I don't mind it, but no, I'm referring to the
butterfly?
Magic keyboard, which is why I wasn't mad that they got rid of Butterfly because they're running into so many issues with it and people were being so vocal about how they didn't like the Butterfly keyboard. So I'm fine that they ditched it, but when I had it, I thought it was great. I loved it. And I'm with you on that. Butterfly was cool.
I'm comparing a Butterfly 2015 keyboard to a Butterfly 2017 keyboard, the 2017 MacBook Pro, and there is about 1/8 the travel of what you're used to on your iPad's Magic Keyboard on this 12-inch MacBook. And I do not like travel. I don't like gushy keys. I don't like I love the
I like
thinner
virtual
keyboards, and this
but I
is
know
the
you don't
thinnest
like
of the
that.
thinnest keyboard. I wouldn't go that far. I need just a little bit of tactileness to just feel the
so
difference
gross
between the
right now.
keys. But this this is the most minimal state for typing. And to be honest, I wrote tons of papers and did a ton of research on this on a computer very similar to this. So it is a joy to type on, and it's kind of fun to go back.
So are you going to sell your old MacBook Pro? Is that the plan? And
Yeah.
how much of the cost will that
That is the
offset
plan.
of the 12-inch? All of it?
It should be just about all of
Wow.
it. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how much was it? The 12-inch one, unopened.
I bought it. I bought it brand new.
Too much.
So too
Okay.
much.
I'll leave it at that. Let's just say you think.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to tell me what you paid for it, but you're saying the MacBook Pro will cover the price. How much do you want to sell the MacBook Pro for, Nick?
$8,000, please.
Well, I'm glad you got it. Personally, I hope it gets as many software updates
Yeah,
as
me too.
possible because if your Mac
you.
Mini is going to be your workhorse for the high intensive stuff, and your secondary Mac is just for mobility's sake, and kind of similar to an iPad, you're kind of just using it for web browsing and texting, and just as your Mac, but not your heavy lifting Mac. Then yeah, the 12-inch MacBook was built to be the antithesis of heavy lifting Mac. You know, it was supposed to be cover the basics,
Yes.
but in every other metric, we're going to be super light, super portable, easy to throw in a bag, and reliable, hopefully. So let us know if the keyboard fails. That would be bad. But
I
Yeah. I had one for almost 2 years, and I didn't have the keyboard fail.
Good.
So I
think
have a high
watching
level
your
of confidence that
reaction
this one will
to
be
holding
fine.
it was like,
that was
yeah,
good.
that was it. Like,
Yeah.
it was the best way I described it to
Yeah.
people was that, like, that. If you ever want to see Nick drop the act for a second and see how he really behaves, like that moment of just taking it in, I was like I was so happy to just see how happy you were holding that thing. Like it was contagious. I was like, man, I want to love something as much as he loves that. I wish I
know.
loved anything as much as Nick loves that.
Anything. Yes.
Okay, Kika.
I was so bummed out when I read the report the redesigned iMacs aren't coming till the end of 2021. I was like,
Yeah.
this is going to be a long year.
Hey, I'm so happy I got the MacBook Air now because of it.
I think it's always reasonable to assume all these reports and stuff talking about mini LED MacBooks or updated. We're always so wrong on the timelines these days. So you should probably. Sometimes you might be wrong, but most of the time you're probably safe assuming it's further away than you think, which is why I'm glad my iMac Pro is holding up okay, because if I was in a pinch and the iMac Pro was not holding up okay, I would be very frustrated. I would be like, ugh, now I got to put up with this crap. That would be what I get, yeah. I was playing with the configurator.
The Mac Mini is amazing. Just thinking of how I loved using that. And
100% would be my plan B if the iMac Pro failed.
The MacBook Air, I love how portable and light it is. It's no MacBook 12-inch, but it's amazing. I've taken it all over the house, and when I've left La Mesa and everything was just like, oh my god, I miss this. And I don't even miss the iMac. I miss the power that came with it. And then I go, this M1 chip has never, like, I've made a full song on this thing. I have been editing 4K footage, downscaling it though, but still, it never got. I don't feel the warmth on the iPad. I mean, the MacBook Air.
Yeah.
And I go. My biggest fear was like, oh, this is gonna bleed into the iPad Pro now. I found where they separate and why I would still keep the two. And if I ever update, I would get the smaller of the configuration. I desperately need this for group FaceTime, and not just with you guys, but it's how I communicate now with my wife and my brother. And when I actually jump on, I'll play video games with some friends at night, and we do group calls like this. And no other experience is better than this. And having the capability to do photo editing now that Nick has given me the photo bug. So I'm always like, I use the iPad for like it's very very persuasive. You are, Nick. I will give you that. So I use it and obviously over for thumbnails
Not
and stuff
persuasive
like
enough
that.
to get you keeping that many, but
I would say that the iPad has its purpose as I need to be the most like interactive with the pencil or my finger and all that and group calls and stuff like that. That's where the iPad shines. This MacBook Air, or let me rephrase, this M1 chip, no matter where it goes, it's like driving an EV. I can't go back. I understand so much more being with this now for 2 weeks that I can't believe I waited this long. I'm glad I waited long enough to get an M1 chip. Any Intel I think would have helped me over the iMac issue, but getting an M1
Pretty
chip,
much.
We have to wait till the end of the year to get redesigned MacBooks or next year or whatever. I'm not in a hurry anymore because if I had to make do with the 2-port MacBook Air, I'm set easy at least a year or two, if whatever it may be. It's not ideal, but it's perfect for me. The only thing that would outshine this in my specific use case, it would get an iMac. I would want an all-in-one again that has an M processing chip in there, and I could use the same workhorse again in a modern configuration. Even if you give me the same bezels and stuff like that, as much as that would irritate me, the performance alone
deals off for me if it's the same design. I'd be out. If they're like, here's the iMac with Apple Silicon, but it's the same chin and bezel, I'd be like, nope,
it's the same.
I'm out.
Mac Mini.
So out.
Mac Mini.
No. I'm switching to Windows.
No, I would
folks.
just get the Mac Mini. Use one of my monitors.
Okay,
got
good.
Too many of them anyway. You can barely see it on camera, but it's back there.
Drew, I wholeheartedly recommend. I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Take the gift cards from Apple and turn some stuff in, and what may be whatever you end up doing. The process of going through all that, coming to completion yesterday, dropping it off at FedEx, it was so smooth and it's.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I've sent a lot of stuff back to Apple in my time. I've picked up a lot of crap and sent it back.
Have you done that cash out option of getting the gift cards and stuff?
I did it with my 10s Max. I've never done it with a 27-inch Mac before because this is the only 27-inch Mac I've ever bought. But yeah, it's I've done the process.
Your 27-inch iMac Pro means to you. I would think it means to you the same way what the MacBook means to Nick, in the sense that like that was your first real big purchase as a YouTuber that you bought with your own money.
I'm willing to get rid of it now, though. That's probably where we
there you go. Never mind.
But Nick wants to hold on to his MacBook,
and maybe in 3 years I'll be ready to get rid of this.
Nope.
I don't know, but I don't.
I think it's a great laptop.
I wish we loved anything.
But you were pretty decided, Drew, that you wouldn't.
I was
get rid
for a
of
while,
your
and then
iMac Pro
I
for a long
realized
time.
that if
it's taking up space.
If it was the difference between like, because I have my limits, I'd like to keep it under 5,000 for the next Mac, but I'm willing to stretch it a little bit if it's good. And if it was, my limit is 6. I don't want to spend more than 6 out of ideology, because that's what I spent on the iMac Pro. And I feel like from a fundamental level, the tech should be improving to the point that I don't have to spend as much. And so I came to the agreement that it was like, okay, if the iMac Pro brings the cost down below 6,000, then I could justify getting rid of it. But more lately, Louise is like, no, I want to use it. I want it to be my little editing rig whenever I do some basic computer stuff. She saw the Apple trade-in value, and she was like, I bet we could get it for more than that. And I'm trying to tell her, I don't think you could, especially if there's new iMacs that come out and they have Apple Silicon. But she's just saying, yeah, well, let's just hold on to it for a few years, because I'll use it anyway. So she's not interested in getting rid of it. And for that reason, I'm like, well, okay, well, let's hope the new iMacs are priced right, because if they're priced way too high, we'll have a different discussion. But because I used to love my 15-inch MacBook Pro too, and I used to think, yeah, I can keep this. I love it. It's just having something mobile. And then I kept it for a while after I got the iMac Pro, and then I realized this is really just kind of sitting, doing nothing 7 days a week, and I could sell it and use the money for something else. So that's why I'm hesitant to ever, with any tech, say, oh, I'm going to keep this forever. Forever means like more than a year. basically. It's like until I get bored.
Nobody in their right mind would give me any real dollar amount valuable enough for me to like trade in or sell my
I agree. That's how I feel about the Mac Mini and the iMac I have right now. I'm like, I know she thinks we can get better, but I really don't. I really think that's about.
If she wants an editing rig, sell the iMac Pro and get yourself like a little Mac Mini or a MacBook Air.
Yeah, she does like MacBooks. I mean, we've talked about in the future when we.
I'm gonna sell Louise on this. Here we go.
I would say that the idea though of holding on to something though for sentimental, like nobody would give me $1 worth of anything for like my original Apple Watch that it's so small, so it's not taking up space.
Basically worthless.
It's you mean priceless?
Yeah, you can't put a price on it.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, Drew.
You know, Apple Edition 24K gold. You know,
those are valuable. Those are valuable.
See, now we go back to intrinsic value. There's an actual.
But that's because it's made of gold.
I love gold. I think.
No, I'm very tempted sometimes because the trade-in value on my Mac Mini is still $480, and I don't care about RAM. So if I got the Mac Mini, I would get the 8 gigs of RAM. I would just want 2 terabytes of storage, which would make it about a $1,000 purchase for me.
When's the last time you used your Mac Mini?
Oh, last year, months ago.
You're done.
Go to the Apple Store. Get rid of it, Drew. Go.
My Apple Store is closed.
Stop the
for
podcast.
Once.
Bye.
But for 2, I'm not really planning on buying a big Apple product that soon.
No, I know, but that's still $480 in your pocket.
The Mac Mini's price is only going down. With Intel chips, they're only going down.
I don't want to go to the Apple Store. It's like a big drive, and
I'm not saying Apple.
You just order it online. They'll give you a box.
Do the swap thing and let them send you the box, and you send it off.
Can you do that if you're not buying anything though?
Yeah.
Yes, they give you Apple Store gift cards.
Yeah, I don't know. I could.
Oh my gosh, Drew, come on.
I don't have a great counter argument for you. I'm just like in no rush because I'm not buying any big Apple purchase.
The rush is coming from the fact that it's nosediving in value
now, as opposed to maybe $460 or $440 later.
Yeah,
or like $320.
I'm not like it's not.
And I'm over here like, dude, it's $20, Mister. I know where every dollar's
this is going.
We just had a long conversation about the value of these $20
all this does is put a
Drew,
slight dent in the sales tax. It's not like a night or day. Yeah, it's unplugged. I've factory reset it. It's ready to go. I could do it at any time. So I've just been busy with other stuff. I'm not
do it.
I have a job, you know.
Here, give me the Mac Mini. I'll do it for you.
Oh, you have a job now. Oh, okay, Mr.
There's a lot of errands.
Fine.
It was my birthday. If I'm
Twitch
near an
to
Apple
talk
store,
about
I'll trade it in. But I've not been near one in recent history.
You don't have to go to an Apple store to trade it in. They'll send you a box for free online.
Okay.
You stick it in a box, and then
I'm gonna do it.
Send it back.
It's not preventing me from working, which is why I don't see the rush. It's not like a big, bottleneck of my content production. It's literally
important but not urgent. I see.
I would barely call it important. It's the difference between
don't call money back important.
$400 isn't gonna make or break any purchase for me. The money has been set aside. The money exists for the next
So
Mac.
now you have more money set aside.
Think how many Bitcoins you can buy with $480, Drew. Come on.
Let me find the trade-in page here and get you guys.
He wouldn't even get
satisfied.
a fraction of Bitcoin for $480 at this point.
No, you wouldn't. No.
No, that's
could almost
kind
buy
of
a
annoying,
Dogecoin.
actually, how tiny of a fraction you have to get in order.
The only reason why I don't even care what the number is for a single Bitcoin is because you don't actually get a coin. Like, go on Amazon, buy one of those little gold coins that's Bitcoin.
You don't get something.
So I don't care if I don't
It's
ever
so
have a full coin or not. If my 500 or I have like 1,000, whatever I have in there, if that blows up to 2,000, hey, it's a win in my book. I don't care. Whatever.
That's a win.
I love that space gray, man.
That is a cool look.
I know. Actually, don't get rid of it. I forgot.
What do you want?
Space gray. You should keep it.
No,
What do you
get rid of
want,
it.
gentlemen? Can't make you happy. I pick it up and they're like, oh.
I want you to both return it and give it away.
Get
No,
rid
I
of it.
did.
Get
I
rid
did
of it.
factory
Keep it.
reset it though.
Then
it's got
ready,
a fresh,
man.
clean copy of Mac OS. There's nothing on it.
And by the time we do our next episode, you would have had the box already sent back to you for you to put it in, and it's a quick buck, man. Do it, yeah.
FedEx isn't as close to me as it is for you guys, but yeah, it's
No, but they come to you.
You literally just leave it outside your door, and you schedule a pickup with FedEx.
I don't think they do that
They come
here.
pick it up.
I'm pretty sure.
They do. I
Hey,
promise.
if you can
They
get
would
Starlink,
have. They would have been
they can
shot
do it
by
there.
now. They just walk up to the door with nothing and take a box. I don't know. I've never seen that option here. But
Last time I was on the air doing this, we watched me purchase the MacBook. Now with you guys, Drew, send the Mac Mini home.
send it home.
Send
I'm
it
on
home.
the.
Send it home. Back
It's
to the big
asking
A.
for the serial number, so I'm just. It's
Here's
a
the-
long,
all right,
tiny
so
number.
while he's doing that, Nick, I got some follow-ups with you about your MacBook.
Yes.
Um,
Let's do that.
It's more so we can
Talk about me
yeah,
some more.
this is us
I love
killing
this.
dead air space anyway. But no, I guess
Dead air. We never have dead air on this show. Every single
wait, so
sentence is
my
amazing.
question
We
about
talk
your
over
Mac-
each other too much. That's the.
Anyway, my
My
question about the MacBook and your editing experience is your go-to process. Rightfully so, I would assume, is when you're home, you're going to utilize the Mac Mini for your editing and all that
Oh,
stuff.
of course.
Now, when you're
Of
out and
course.
about, you're on travel, or you just want to go to that coffee shop, or whatever the case may be for you, is it just MacBook for editing, or are you bringing your iPad too to get some of that stuff done in conjunction with either Over or LumaFusion or anything that the iPad OS would offer over your Intel situation? Or what's that process looking like for you?
Well, eventually it'll just be the MacBook.
Okay.
If going to the coffee shop is like the only trip that I would take it on, and really the only purpose for going to the coffee shop is to enjoy their great upload speeds. And
How dare you?
I would
Coffee's
be
amazing.
I'd edit and export the video at home on the Mac
Yeah.
Mini, and then just airdrop the final product to the MacBook, and then go to the Apple Store coffee shop and upload
That would
it
still
from
be
there.
less time than uploading from home, probably.
That is 100% true. It's still about an hour quicker, but it requires me doing something, which, there's that.
Pish
Spend an hour of my
posh.
time going to the coffee shop or have it upload in the background. Anyway, I would like to figure out some kind of way to do thumbnails and stuff on the Mac OS, so I need to do a little bit more research on. I don't really want to use Photoshop. I like Over and stuff. Over and Pixelmator are a great combination. I've learned how to use. I've mastered both of those tools, I think, at this point. Being able to do really complicated photo editing, thumbnail creation, all that fun stuff. I was at the coffee shop yesterday with my MacBook Pro because yesterday is the day I realized that I could no longer use El Capitan because I couldn't even load YouTube on Safari. It was just like, no, sorry, it's too old.
That's a problem.
Safari crashed because of an unknown error
Jeez.
or whatever. And so, anyway, I just brought my MacBook Pro to the coffee shop to upload, and I didn't have a way to make thumbnails, so I couldn't post those shows right away. And so I was like, I should have brought my iPad. But then if I'm going to bring my iPad, then like it's just an extra device, and the iPad is so like holding the iPad Pro with the keyboard and the 12-inch MacBook. There's nothing in my mind that would ever say I'd want to take the iPad Pro somewhere if it was between the two. The 12-inch MacBook is thinner, lighter, and all aluminum. It's beautiful. Doesn't have touchscreen or the Apple Pencil and some of the specialized Over software, which is the alternative that I need to figure out. So anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Dream Mac time for me would
Yes,
be
put in Dream.
M1 in that design with a touch bar and replace the headphone jack with a second USB-C port. That would be
Done.
Dude.
Done. I would never upgrade my
Sign
computer
me
again.
up.
thinner bezels too while we're at it. Give it mini LED,
Yeah,
And
thinner.
you know why I don't need the
1080p
headphone jack?
camera.
Because headphone jack comes with a dongle anyway, with a USB-C hub.
Mine doesn't,
So-
but I don't use a headphone
Mine
jack
does.
for anything. So I'd be so out. I can edit videos with AirPods.
My compromise is I need to have a jack for my monitors. That's the.
I get that.
compromise.
That can be your dream MacBook. My dream.
Well, no, my dream MacBook
my
would
dream
still be the
MacBook-
2 USB-C because
My
my
dream
dongle has a
MacBook is
headphone
something
jack.
I'm already holding.
The iMac Pro has a headphone jack, and I've never used it once. It's still there.
I actually do use the headphone jack on my Mac Mini every day. I have my monitors plugged into that. So.
I would intentionally buy a headphone jack adapter, even if I had a headphone jack, just so I couldn't, just so I wouldn't use it.
Jack.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, it's
Weird
not
flex,
there.
but okay.
It doesn't exist. No, but I'm kind of digging the idea of a 32-inch 4K BenQ monitor powered by the Mac Mini setup. Like, it would be kind of a wasteful purchase, but a fun one. That would be fun.
Not if you traded in the current Mac Mini.
Yeah, it's still wasteful. Even then, it would be like $1,000 just so I can have a slightly larger monitor on my desk.
No.
So it'd be like, I don't know. Kind of hard to justify. I'd rather just invest that in not crypto, but
True.
in invested in something else. Invested in a high dividend fund and let that accumulate money, or wait for the next I don't know. If sometimes when you get bored with tech and you want to just mix up things a little bit, I'm just like, ooh, wouldn't it be nice to try this? And sometimes I'm like, that's why I have a wife. You know, she's able to ground you and be like, no, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
But your heart's like, no, but it would be cool. But I'd probably get bored with it in like the first week, and then I wouldn't think about it.
Some aging
I'm not bored
guy
with it.
coming in is like, you get bored with something. That's how I started a band. It's like, no, it's okay. The band's gonna make it.
The band's
No.
gonna make it.
No.
I came up with a great name for a band this week, actually.
Ooh, pray tell.
Copyright claims. We are
Why?
the copyright claim because like UMG owns everything.
It's death metal because everything it does dies.
And just claim everybody who uses their music. It'd be perfect. Free
Glad I
idea of the week.
inspired that.
And then in the YouTube studio, it would say copyright claim has copyright claimed your video.
Copyright claimed has copyright claimed your copyright.
Yeah, I would love that. They make a song called The Copyright Claim.
Yeah,
That's their one
because
hit.
of your use of copyright claim.
Yes. That would be wonderful. Oh, man. I want a new Mac, but it's so hard to justify.
You're well. That's a testament to how great the iMac Pro is behaving.
iMac Pro is pretty solid. I'm very glad I got it when I did. I don't feel like I was cheated, and I don't feel like I should have waited. That felt like the perfect time to buy because it was right when I was getting my first Blackmagic, which was going to be 4K at 60, and the MacBook Pro was only 256 gigs. So putting all that footage on it was like, this wasn't going to cut it. But the MacBook made sense at the time I had it, and then the iMac made sense at the time I had it. So I feel like I've got a decent track record with my Mac purchases feeling justified and getting purchased at the right time and being useful for the time I got them, and now using it every single day, exporting tons of videos off of it. I feel like I've gotten a ton of use out of it, so I'm happy with it. But at the same time, just like, man, this iMacs have looked the same. I'm looking through old pictures from the attic, and I saw this actually from before I was even in the attic, and I was just in the media room, and there was this video of me sitting at my desk with this white iMac, and I was like, nothing's changed, is it? It's like the exact same. I'm watching myself 10 years later, and that basic chin bezel design is still there with the same magic mouse, and I'm just like, nothing.
That's going to be
really changed,
iPhones in about another 10 years. We're all going to be staring at our rectangular squares of glass and rectangular slabs of glass.
I think there's a decent chance my next Mac I will keep for longer than I've held on to the iMac Pro, because I can't think of a great reason.
I mean, you got to start shooting 8K at 60, Drew. That's the only way.
And I'm against that. I don't think 8K will ever be a standard.
You don't understand. It's going to be so important. Give it about 3 months, and everyone's going to be shooting an 8K at 60.
No, I still fall back on I almost made a video. It's funny you brought that up. I was spoiler, I was almost out of video ideas this week. I know. What? You couldn't tell, could you? But I was thinking like, I should do a video about 8K because we were talking about it in the Discord, and I was like, I don't think it'll ever be a standard because of the law of diminishing returns, and you can't notice the difference after a certain point. And we were noticing that with smartphones. Pixel density went up, and then it started going down because people didn't notice. So that's the law in effect. And I was like, oh, I should make a video about that. And before I make a video, I try to look at my old catalog of videos to see if I've already done it. And I had made that exact video already. It's like,
just remake it.
Why
and see how
8K
many
won't
people
be a
notice.
standard? And I was like,
Just do
dang
it.
it.
Do you know how many people reuse
Just download
their
it and
ideas?
repost it today. Just download it and repost it today.
I would even
That's all you
say
need
that.
to do.
That's
just
cheating.
Just AK won't be a thing 2021 version. Why I'm still right.
I'll just react to the old video. Yeah.
And the reaction
Just
is
like-
you just
I don't say anything.
Good point.
I just watch it. I'm like, yeah, that was a good point, Drew.
and you
That's
bought
the
and
whole
it's like,
thing.
hey, yeah. How cool is that?
That's
How cool is that?
I mean, the Intel to Apple silicon is a big jump, and then the redesign is a big jump. But I'm trying to imagine what a big jump after that would be, and I can't think of one. Really.
The one where we... Yeah, that one.
I was thinking between Face ID or 120 hertz, maybe.
Oh,
but
come
that's a
on.
stretch.
Oh, come on.
We're getting
There's
real-
no reason to upgrade an iMac.
We're getting real picky. No, I'm talking like in 5 years. Let's say it comes out at the end of 2021. Also, I really hope they at least unveil it in June, kind of like the Mac Pro. Could they showcase it off so I at least know what I'm saving for, please? Instead of just, man, I hope it's this time. And then next event, man, I hope it's this time. Because that's what it's been for a while, and I feel like that's going to be most of 2021 is me just, hopefully they do it today. But like
and then one
5
morning they
years
just
from
drop
now,
it on their website, random day in August, they're just like, yeah, we have a new iMac.
I'd be fine with that, honestly. I don't. As long as it exists, I've been so patient. I just
And it still has an Intel chip. The redesigned one has an Intel chip,
Okay.
but the old
Mac
the
Mini
old
then.
design has the M1X.
all in on Mac Mini at that point. I would save a lot of money, I guess. I could invest the
That's
rest.
true.
It's not a horrible idea.
Am I just buying things because I'm bored?
yeah, that's the thing.
Yep, that's about it.
That's about it.
I'm bored with my
Welcome to
ISP.
America.
That's why I bought Starlink.
That is this
True.
is the long version episode of I'm bored in the house and I'm in the house bored.
I'm in the house bored. Pretty much, yeah. I was thinking about all the boring tech that's becoming a thing. Also, just as a message to people out there, it's not helpful when you just say, I'm not interested in this subject. You can tell me that by not watching the video. You don't have to click on the video and comment that. If you have topics you want me to go into, just say it. I'm very open to suggestions because Apple is so
I
dry
have a
right
whole list
now.
of things for you to talk about.
Please,
Ready?
go.
Let me get the notes open. Notes. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Number 1. The stretchiness of time. That's a good one. Number 2. Why you use DuckDuckGo.
I don't. I switched to Google again.
Oh,
Get
okay.
out of
Well,
my
then
life.
don't make that video.
Their
Actually,
images-
why are we still talking to him?
The
Why are you
image
still talking?
results are not as good objectively.
That is true, but you just after the end of your DuckDuckGo
I was doing
search,
that every time.
exclamation
That's
point
why I
GI.
switched. I realized
Yeah.
that every time I used DuckDuckGo, I was doing exclamation. I was doing the Google image search. I was like, well, why? What's the point? I don't search anything outside of images, really. I've discovered that more recently.
Well-
Outside of Google Images, I don't really Google things, and if I do, I'm using the smart speaker anyway. So, can we switch
Siri,
Siri?
how tall is the Empire State Building? How much fat is in an avocado?
She knows that.
She does.
It's weird. Anyway,
How much fat is in an avocado?
Don't do it.
21 grams.
I will
Wow.
tell you this: 21
Siri's
grams.
a genius.
Genius.
Oh, that's
Sounds
like
good.
some type of smart assistant.
Smart assistant? Are you saying I'm not, Randy? I cannot believe you.
Well,
You're wise. You're not smart.
um,
Wow.
I said you're wise. That's a compliment.
Is that though?
is it though?
I don't
I
know.
think,
You can interpret that in any way.
I think
I choose to interpret everything in the worst way possible.
If you're out of video ideas, Drew,
You can talk about the iPhone 12 mini.
Go through your catalog, and be like, here's something I've changed my mind on.
Oh, I have.
Oh.
When I do.
Well, then you're
okay.
screwed. That's it. Shut it down. Just shut it all down.
It's
Shut
pretty
down
much
Taylor's
done.
of Tech. Just upload a video that says we're just on a season
Sell the
break.
IP
We'll be back
while it's
next
still
year.
worth something, Drew. Just shut it all down.
We're gonna sell it off. Pretty much. Sounds good. Bye everyone. Thanks for buying.
Bye.
RIP.
IP. Goodbye.
Take
Bye.
care.